You're living in the NIL transfer portal trenches every single day. What do you think NIL revenue sharing looks like a year from now? I mean, you have revenue sharing, and as you've mentioned, really a salary cap for college football, but you also have outside the cap NIL that is not sanctioned by the school, but as you know, every school around the country is trying to figure out how can they get incrementally above the $20.5 million cap. And then you have the College Sports Commission denying collective deals. What do you think it all looks like? Like how does this thing kind of, it seems like there's progress being made, but how does it get a little more standardized where, as you said, you can make some decisions then on what the roster actually looks like?
Yeah, I mean, I think, now listen, here's the reality. Like this has been a challenging job the last couple cycles. And there's been some real moments of like pain in that. And I mean, I'm talking like you're the post 2020, like winter of 23, winter 23, 24. I'm sitting, sitting there in December, and I'm wondering if we're going to be able to field a team. Like and then we clawed our way out, and we figured it out, and but like those moments are like really difficult moments, and so it's been a challenge, and there's so much about this system right now that's really frustrating and really difficult to navigate and manage, and yet like I fully acknowledge that the circumstances and the climate is actually what's allowed Vanderbilt to sort of find some footing and like us to surge a little bit. We last year, and hopefully we'll be able to build on that this year. This has all been a net positive for Vanderbilt football. And yet, like I think ultimately, what do I think it's going to look like? What do I want it to look like? I think those, I don't know if those are competing or not. If we have rules that are enforceable, then that's all you can really ask for. And I don't know how enforceable the rules are right now. And I know that Congressional Help would certainly iron a few of these rough edges out. Whether that's realistic, I think, we're in the process of finding out. And I think certainly like the settlement was a good starting point. And we're all going to have to abide by it. But everyone's competitive, and so everyone's looking for angles. And if you're not, and so it's just this. At the end of the day, like what I'm looking for, what I'm hoping for is just structure. Just give us the rules, and then and enforce them. And I think as much as this College Sports Commission that's tasked with enforcing the rules that are being implemented, like that's as big of a
tough job.
Yeah, that's a tough job, and if they can execute that job, that's as important as anything. As soon as someone actually gets hammered for coloring outside the lines, I mean that's gonna do wonders for just bringing everything back in. Because I think everyone is in my shoes and shares my perspective. Like let's all agree to play by, let's all have rules and play by them. And yet everyone's going to continue to do whatever they can to stretch. Yeah. Because you have to survive, And so I think that's the challenge, and it's this really I mean, like I think like I don't blame it. Like I think what's interesting is like have you ever heard the Grapes of Wrath? Like there's the Grapes of Wrath. There's like it's like this idea of this. I'm not even going to go. This is so ridiculous. Like there's no one's fault. Like this thing is this runaway train, and like it's like everyone's just part of this ecosystem that's trying to operate within it, and so you can't actually pin blame on anybody. But at the end of the day, like until we're able to like to all collectively like find common ground to decide to play by the same rules, like it's the train's going to keep on running.
I wanted to ask you about recruiting rankings, because there's this narrative in the coaching world that like recruiting rankings don't matter. What 247 and On3 and Rivals have to say doesn't matter. But as someone who lived in it and also talks to a lot of coaches, they definitely matter. And they definitely have a role. I mean, even just like the bias of when you first see a kid's film and he's already a 4-star and I'm like, okay, like he must be decent, and then also like everyone's fighting to have the highest ranked recruiting class. No one wants to have a terribly ranked recruiting class no matter when it comes out. But with your background, given that you were probably the leader, the biggest name in recruiting rankings and recruiting media, how much weight do you put into recruiting rankings now? Or how much do you care how your former colleagues rank your recruiting class? Because I'm sure that's a funny dynamic.
Yeah, I honestly, I would actually rather our guys be ranked lower in a lot of cases, because I want less hangers on and schools coming in offering them just because they're ranked high. Like I'd rather, we know what we like, and we'd rather, but I think I think where you see it is like, it does create momentum. Like when you have a highly ranked player, a highly ranked class, like people point at it, and whether it's real or not, like it's sort of this it does create it just creates momentum, and I think so that can be impactful. Nowadays, you sort of hear it from the NIL piece. It's like, well, he should be paid this because he's ranked that, and it's like, oh, okay, well, that's not actually how we do it, but and so I think that's a complicating factor. And so I think, but I mean, no, we don't, we truly don't spend time. We don't sort players by what they're ranked. We don't offer players based on what they're ranked. But I do have a lot of respect, obviously, for those people and how hard they work. Because I think that's probably the thing that fans don't understand, and even coaches don't understand, is how much pride those guys actually take in it, and how important it is for them to try to get it right, and how impossible it is. Yeah. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, you're trying to rank basically every football player in America.
Crazy.
And they're, you're going to get some wrong and you're going to get some right. But but it's I think for me, it's just it's really not in any part of our process. And I think if anything, like the more you're able to sort of remove biases from your decision making, you want to do that as much as you can in all areas, not just with rankings or anything else. It's just like how can we make decisions devoid of any kind of preconceived bias? Like how do we best like isolate the important factors, and certainly like in terms of whether they're going to play here, that's not an important factor. I would even go so far as to say, like, as we've studied Vanderbilt, and this is specific to Vanderbilt now because it's not an indictment on the rankings industry, but specific to Vanderbilt, highly ranked players that have come here, I'm talking about historically have not had a high hit rate. And I think part of that is around like, again, Vanderbilt's historically is not a sort of a blue blood program. And so a highly ranked player oftentimes I think would go to Vanderbilt because maybe some of the other guys maybe wouldn't take them. And so I think it's just important, like, for us to make sure that we like are aware of those sort of things before we let something like that influence a decision, because once they're here, they're ours. And again, the misses are the problems.
I remember even when during my few coaching years of when the recruiting industry would come out with not just the rankings, but actually the scouting reports on
Yeah.
these guys. And I would read them. I would sometimes mention them to our staff. I was like, hey, check out what Barton Simmons said about this player. And the narrative on the staff is always, why are we listening to these guys? I'm like, you realize that these guys saw him in person like
Right.
3 times. We haven't seen him in person 1 time.
Yeah.
There's at least some value in that. And they think about how, as you said, the volume of players they're seeing. Like, there's something that we should take out of at least what they said.
No, I think one of the things that I'm fortunate that I have is that network of people,
yeah,
and I can, and so like for me, it's way less about, hey, let's recruit. Like we got our guys that are going to be connected to us in our mission. Talking about our recruits that are going to fit what we're looking for, and where they fall in the rankings is a little bit immaterial to me, but. If, hey, one of my guys that I know, one of the people in the media space that I know just saw him work out somewhere, one of the guys that we're considering offering, or one of the guys that's on our board, absolutely. Like I'd really value those guys and hear, hey, what did you see? Like, oh, what did you think? Or hey, what did you think about these 2 guys? And like, I think that because those guys. I mean, those guys make a living at it, and they work hard at it, and they're trying to hone their craft too.
Yeah.
And so I do really value their opinion.
Yeah.